Welcome back to the Rodecast, guys. Hope you're doing well out there. I'm your host, Rod, as always. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the latest pandering by the California legislature to the Juans and Marias and all the open borders activists who have been whining about ICE agents wearing masks while doing some of the raids. Some ICE agents have been wearing them, some have not. But nevertheless, this is their latest effort to seem like they're doing something against Trump. The unfortunate part is that all of them should have read the Supremacy Clause. The problem with this law is that it has no binding power on federal authorities because state authorities, like the legislature, cannot pass laws to contravene federal law and federal mandates and federal policies that have been set forth by, for example, the Department of Homeland Security, who tells ICE how to behave and what policies to follow. And DHS has authorized ICE agents, has given them the option of wearing masks if they think that their safety or their family's safety is at risk. That is a policy that has come down from the executive branch, which includes Kristi Noem. California nor in any other state can tell ICE agents how to dress.
California lawmakers have just passed a bill that will ban federal immigration officers as well as local law enforcement from wearing masks here in the state. Some California lawmakers taking notice that many in the public are feeling intimidated, surrounded by ICE raids, even seeing the National Guard deployment in LA for the protests back in June.
Yeah, some are intimidated because they're illegal aliens or their family members are illegal aliens and they're afraid of the law being applied to them. Those are the some who are afraid. Okay, they pretend as if the masks are gone, they're suddenly going to be okay with the raids. Okay, that's not how it works. Even if every single ICE agent stops wearing masks, they're not going to be okay with the deportations, and that's the bottom line.
A recent Supreme Court decision is also fueling this bill. A judge overturning a court order that would have blocked ICE's ability to stop or detain people based on the color of their skin.
Extreme masking that is causing terror.
It's why this so-called No Secret Police Act aims to boost transparency, even bolster public trust in law enforcement.
You're policing, patrolling a community, arresting people. People should be able to know who you are and what agency you're with, and that you're actually a law enforcement officer.
But there's
every single ICE agent that I've ever seen has their agency name on their vest. It says police ICE on it, and they're wearing their badge. So it's not that difficult to ascertain who the agents are. Okay, and they're not doing criminal work like the FBI. They're not issuing criminal warrants most of the time. They're making civil arrests. So you don't have the same protections under criminal law, according to the Constitution and how it's been interpreted by the Supreme Court. There are no criminal protections. Okay, and they're not going into people's houses. They're doing the arrest in public spaces. So there are many, many differences between criminal enforcement and civil enforcement. That's another factor that goes into this. And that matters because the law gives more rights when it comes to criminal enforcement to the defendants than when it comes to civil enforcement. That's why that's why ICE agents don't have to have a warrant to arrest you in public spaces, because it's a civil enforcement. It's not a criminal enforcement. They're not arresting you technically. They're detaining you. And if you're illegal, then you might be deported, but you're going to get a court hearing before that in front of an immigration judge. That's also the law. Unless you have a removal order against you, then they can automatically deport you. Okay, so everything is structured in a way that makes sense. But the people who are protesting don't want to learn any of the legal facts surrounding any of this stuff. They just want all the illegals to stay here. That's it.
There's still strong opposition to this bill.
The state of California, or actually any state in the union, does not have the authority to determine how federal officers are going to handle enforcement operations. So the nexus is this bill will ultimately fall on the local law enforcement agencies.
Brian Marvel is the president of the state's Peace Officers Research Association. He calls this,
and he's absolutely 100% correct when it comes to the history and the law surrounding this. Obviously, the Supremacy Clause applies here. A state legislature is trying to tell federal officers how to dress, and that's not going to fly well. Okay, anytime this goes to a federal court, a federal judge, he's going to overturn this law, or at least make it so that it doesn't apply to federal agents. Now, part of the law is also applying to local police, which they can control. The state legislatures can't tell local police officers what to do. They cannot tell the federal officers what to do, because the supremacy clause applies. And it's very clear under our Supreme Court jurisprudence that the federal officers can do what they're told by their bosses, which is DHS and the executive branch, not some random state legislature. Otherwise, all the 50 states will be telling the federal officers how to dress and what to do when they're doing their jobs. Okay. The fact that they're in California doesn't change anything. That does not give the state legislature here the ability to tell federal agents like ICE agents what to do and how to dress and how to do their job. The Secretary of Homeland Security and the President, they're the ones that the federal agents have to follow. Everybody else cannot tell them what to do.
Bill dangerous, arguing it could strip local officers of their key protections.
Removes qualified immunity for good faith mistakes made by the local peace officers, will now open them up to litigation and being sued.
Marvel adds that local officers tend to only use masks.
So even though this is not going to affect federal policing, it is going to affect the local officers. It's taking even more rights away from them. So of all of the, not just the illegal rights activists, but many other people who hate the American police, the regular police, also got their teeth into this bill. So if Gavin Newsom is dumb enough to pass this, it's going to be a world of trouble for regular police officers who do have to obey California law. Okay, the feds don't have to do it. ICE doesn't have to do it, but the local police do have to obey, and it's going to make their jobs harder if this passes. Again, there are many pressures on Gavin Newsom to pass this, but there are also forces in the other direction who don't want him to pass it. We'll see what he does. He's a panderer. He's a panderer in chief, and he's been whining about ICE for a long time. He wants all the illegal invaders to stay. So we'll see what Gavin does. He's been a failure on most things. He's done some good things here and there when it comes to specific bills, but overall, he's been a disaster, especially when it comes to immigration. He's totally open borders. So let's see what he does. But, if he does the right thing, then I'll give him credit. The right thing is to reject this ridiculous bill and not sign it.
Marvel adds that local officers tend to only use masks for either special operations or when near chemical gases. The No Secret Police Act does include exceptions for SWAT teams, medical-grade masks used during wildfire emergencies. The bill passed late Thursday, and it's now on the desk of Governor Gavin Newsom. He has until October 13th to either sign or veto this bill.
Yeah, so now it's up to Gavin, and let's see what he does, but it has no impact on ICE. This is literally all but pandering to the Hispanics. That's all they're doing here, okay? And if they're dumb enough to actually think this is going to make a difference, then, whatever. But the open borders activists, they should know at this point that that the state authorities can't really do anything against ICE, okay? They can't tell ICE not to wear masks because the federal officers do not work for the state government, okay? The legislature has no power over federal authorities. They work for DHS and Kristi Noem, and the president are the ones that federal authorities have to listen to. And usually it's Kristi Noem who's telling them what to do. The Secretary of Homeland Security is the one who oversees this stuff, and the DOJ as well. They both Pam Bondi and Kristi Noem are the ones who have power over the FBI, ICE, and other federal law enforcement agencies. They're the ones who set policy on how things are done. Okay, even Tom Homan doesn't have direct power over ICE. He's just an advisor. Same with Stephen Miller. They're just presidential advisors, but they have influence over Kristi Noem. So that's how they can have an impact. But officially, when it comes to the paperwork, Kristi Noem is the one who sets policy for ICE. That's the bottom line. Because Pam Bondi determines how the law is going to be enforced through the Justice Department, she also can have an influence on how law enforcement officers act. For example, FBI, ATF, things like that. Pam Bondi has direct control over those policies. Okay, because those officers have to work in conjunction with the U.S. attorneys to prosecute cases. So through that, she has power to tell them somewhat what to do. Okay, not anything she wants, obviously, within reason and within the law, federal law. The DOJ has the right to dictate policy to federal law enforcement agencies. That's how the law currently works. They're the ones who get to tell ICE and FBI agents and other agents what to do. Some random state like California, even if it's Republicans or Democrats, it doesn't matter. A Republican legislature could pass a law that impacts federal agencies, and it still wouldn't matter because the Republican that bill has no power. If it's passed into law, still has no power over the federal agencies. Because of the supremacy clause, only federal officials like the Homeland Security Secretary can set policy for federal agents and agencies like ICE. So bottom line, whether this passes or not, it's going to have zero impact on what ICE agents do. They're going to keep wearing masks because their safety is at risk, because we have lunatics on the left who are willing to kill ICE agents. They've already tried, okay, during different operations, throwing bottles at them and even shooting a weapon at them. And so the ICE agents don't feel comfortable that their families will be safe. And those are the ICE agents who are wearing masks, because lunatics are calling them fascists and Nazis. And people are responding in kind by attacking them and trying to attack their families and telling them to quit their jobs. I've done many videos where the protesters are screaming at ICE agents to quit their jobs. Okay. And technically they have the right to do that, but some people go too far and follow them home. Stalking has already happened to ICE agents, where people have gone to their houses. So I think they're within their rights to protect themselves and their families by wearing masks. But anyways, no impact on ICE. There's a useless bill, complete pandering to the Latinos. That's all they're doing, and the illegal open borders activists. ICE is going to keep doing their job and cleaning up our country, and I support it 100%. And that's all I got to say for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one.